Hello everybody, it's Friday night and it is Weekender time once more, and we have a packed show with all the news coming out of Nova, which means I get to have a nap during the news. On top of that, one lucky commenter will be in with a chance to win the Cities of Sigmar army set from store.ontabletop.com. If you want to pick up this big bundle of Warhamsterish goodness, then you need to comment over on tabletop.com under this video, and if you can do the social thing as well, that's always nice. Otherwise, sit back and relax, because your weekend starts here. Hello everybody and welcome to the Weekender. I'm joined by Ben, John and Justin.
Hello.
As we take another look at what's been going on in the world of tabletop gaming.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in the world of tabletop gaming, but we'll get to that in time.
Oh, yeah.
Most important thing is we've got a guest on Sunday's show.
Oh, we do. Yes.
We're going to be joined by the delightful Tommy Soul.
Oh, painter extraordinaire. Yeah.
That's the bunny. So, if you're not a member of the Cult of Games, on Sunday, you can come over to OnTableTop.com, sign up for a free 30-day trial, and have a look at what Tommy's going to be telling us. Who knows? Who knows what it's going to be? I imagine painting may come up.
Surely you're going to go full Top Gear and talk about cars from the 1970s.
I thought it was more about the intricacies of getting a strike on every bowling.
Yep,
Bowling game.
Nobody knows for certain.
We did bring that up with him. So
we did talk about Marmite.
Now, Ben, I know this is one of your favorite questions. Are you going to ask him what his favorite ice cream flavor is? I know that's one of your things.
I do quite like asking that. Yeah.
You never asked me that.
I did that for an entire convention once.
John, we all know your favorite flavor. It's vanilla.
It's engine oil, dude.
Extra spice.
If you want to find out for certain what Tommy was asked or what he said, then you can come over on Sunday morning and find out. We should leave it at that for now. And you two can discuss whether or not vanilla and Marmite are an ice cream topping that you want to put on your toast. Right. But we're going to be kicking things off, as always, with our Indie of the Week.
Yeah.
This week, it's Rooted Design.
Rooted Design. I'm guessing trees and stuff?
I was going to say, is this fashionable furniture for the discerning gamer?
Yeah,
are we building a Cruvis? Or her doll?
I don't even know what any of that is. However, what I will say is he's a Belgian sculptor, Quentin, and he's been doing some stuff in the style of the old Rackham confrontation. So,
mate, who would have thought you'd have picked this? Eh?
Yeah. I mean, nobody knows where
there does seem to be quite the buffet at the minute of these style of miniatures.
Very true.
Yeah. Which is all good. Anybody who ever wants to get into confrontation, finding the miniatures can be difficult, especially if you don't have access to my cupboard. So
everybody
being able to dive in and find new sculptors with their own take on it that don't look out of place in the aesthetic of our clash.
Wow.
It's always nice to see. So there's not many miniatures so far. He does slowly work away on bits and pieces as and when he has the time. He's a sculptor who's constantly progressing, I think is the way he terms it.
I mean, Cubone took it some acid.
You killed my mom.
That's an orc. It's an orc.
Now called Cubone. Yeah.
Type of thing.
That orc is having a crisis of identity.
Wow.
Oh, he knows exactly who he is and what he's doing.
I love the tattoo work on with the painting.
Gorgeous painting.
Cool. But and then having the skull helm, but then bringing the spine into that.
Spine on and the tail. That's unusual and interesting. I quite like that.
It's even the tiny details like the little foot wraps.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, that's what you want in life whenever he's doing whatever it is he's doing. He's called a Fauvist. And Fauvism is a type of art style. I can't remember that being, Matisse. Matisse was 5-star. Anyway, that aside,
quite clearly, he is reading the IKEA catalog, hoping to summon a demon.
It's possible. But yeah, interesting little orky shaman type.
Lovely.
Obviously, these are going to be relatively, I would have said relatively large, comparatively speaking. However, these days, Rackham is more or less the norm for 28 mil. Everything's about 32 to 35.
32 to 35, so,
heroic. That extra heroic.
Yep. Or, it's NATO standard these days. Reth, the ogre of the Blackwoods, definitely a Drune-esque gentleman.
Oh, yeah.
I also really like his box arty pictures that he does, the little landscape vignettes, because they're great. But I mean, he's absolutely gorgeous.
He's a stunning model.
He is clearly done waiting for you to pay back the money you owe him.
That's the Drune Celts for you. They are not nice people up in Kiermad.
The loan sharks of the Rackham universe.
I mean, you got to pay that vig.
Yeah.
And again, it has the
different head options.
Nice. It has the style that you would expect to see with the likes of the filigree and that sort of thing. So it's very much
not work
to fit in world. Yeah.
Although the Rackham weapons always have like a mildly offset asymmetric style to them, which I think is just very key to just getting that flavor in there.
Yeah.
Depends who's coming at you. Mm-hmm. Some of them were very, very asymmetric and poiquet.
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm saying. That's what I love.
Yeah. Others were a bit more sedate and down the middle of the road, as anybody who fields lines of Alahan will know.
Although the fact that he's got the little cloven hoofs, and it takes you a minute to notice those little details, is very nice.
Yeah. They're just an interesting little, it's the equivalent of armoured sandals. He's got that little bit between his big toe and the rest of his toes. Because he's got normal feet.
As long as he's not wearing socks.
The Abyssal Lord is huge.
Wow.
Yeah, he is.
Wow.
We'll have a look at the Abyssal Lord himself then, shall we?
Yes.
Because he's
please.
Quite cute.
We have very different definitions of cute.
Anything done in the Rackham style is automatically cute. That's how this goes. Most of these, I think they're all actually resin, if memory serves.
The big knot of bow whip.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, skulls for days.
Mm-hmm. GW would be proud.
He has skipped leg day as well, but
well, what's the GW version of this? An Ogron or something like that, isn't it?
Probably a demon
thaumaturge, yeah.
Or like the old school demon lords.
Yeah, true. Yeah.
Lovely work.
He's coming to get you, Barbara. And he will do unspeakable things to you when he gets you.
I mean, this is that classic moment of he's behind me, isn't he?
Well, you can tell when the sun is suddenly eclipsed. When that thing comes.
They didn't give rain today.
Yeah.
Why is it red? Oh, wait, that's me.
I'm so glad you went red there and not another primary color.
No. I had to trim that one out.
Speaking of big things, the horn of the mountain is particularly nice.
Mountains do give me the horn. Yeah.
Well, I think he was called a mountain breaker. He's a dwarf giant.
Is that an oxymoron?
No.
A dwarf giant.
Just a regular person at that point.
He identifies as dwarf, much like our Ben.
Well, he identifies as stamping on things for the dwarves of Tirnabor, which works quite well there.
I love the armor.
Is lovely.
Yeah.
It's an interesting thing because the basic setup of him, the look of him is very similar to the now extinct version of the Mountain Breaker. But he was a very static pose, in fact. No, I can't reach him. He is incredibly static pose. He was standing.
Of course, Jerry has it almost to hand.
Armed, well, because I really love the dwarves of Tirnabor. He has an axe just held at his waist, just parallel to the ground. So it was very static, but, big, menacing piece of metal. This uses all of that aesthetic bar the axe, but replaces that with the big horn, which I absolutely love. The fact he's got like on a strap and he's just wrapped the strap around.
Yeah, I was just thinking that was quite the odd bit of design that it's on a leather strap that he's pulling up and over.
Yeah, I think it's great because if he needs to release it and just lets it dangle there beside him.
Or just lamp someone with it.
Yeah. And it's one of those where you could, if you wanted, you could cut the central section of the horn away and have it going through his hand. You see that all the time. I just thought that the fact that he sort of wrapped it over the top and pulled it all in there is just a nice touch.
Look, there's a small detail gorgeous. I like. The back end of the head that is chopped off, you've actually got the meaty bits in there.
Oh, yeah.
It's little details like that I really appreciate in sculpts.
I'd like to hope when something had sculpted on a base that they haven't just left it hollow.
You get some people that do.
Really?
It's unfortunate, but it's the truth.
Look how happy it is. I mean, less happy now, but foot on monster is good.
I'm guessing they've painted these as well as doing the sculpting for them.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah. Oh, amazing work.
I also like that the monster head actually looks like it's been in a fight. It looks beat down and battered.
Yeah, that's a nice touch. Yeah.
Probably explains where the axe has gone. And also the big sort of discs on the armor as well are nice little features beyond the scale as well. It's just
definitely tie things in. Yeah.
And they look not dissimilar to some of the tokens that you get for confrontation or that you got, I suppose.
Nice in-world design stuff.
Yeah. So he's a bit of gorgeousness. Speaking of dwarves of Nabor, we may as well, since we're here, have a look at one of them.
Escola.
Oh, he's so small and he's so cute.
See, this is now cute for you then, Justin, yeah?
See the big eyes? Proportioned head and the big eyes. That is cuteness.
They're not big eyes.
They're not big eyes.
I know they're not big eyes, goddammit.
It's just goggles for his, and there's this little...
yes, he has the strangest steam-powered exoskeleton I've ever seen.
It's mostly just for... It's not an exoskeleton, it's a thermo hammer that they use that they wield to heat up and then batter people with it.
Nice.
It's always good to have a bit of flamage, heatage going in there.
Yeah. Really cool little character model.
I guess because it's all so warm, that's why he's almost naked.
Well, I mean, you did get thermal priests and stuff who have full armor, and meteor warriors who were essentially like jump pack troops where they were fully armored, launched into the air, and then would come down on you like...
Wow.
They must regret their life choices.
They do not. Every day's a joy. When you're one of those, I'm telling you now, absolutely great.
Can I see Nimrod?
You can see Nimrod eventually. We'll have a look at some humans first, though. So the Griffins had witch hunter styly people
who just got stretched out.
Yeah, it's whatever this clever thing is for the zoomings. But this is a really nice figure.
That is a horse who has seen it all.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I mean, that nag is ready to drop.
Yeah.
He's seen some shit.
Oh, joy. Another heretic. Yeah.
Oh, so speaking of shit, I'm guessing it's seen some 3D printing.
Hey.
Hey.
Terrible. Stop that.
Worth it.
Stop talking.
But really, it's a really simple design, simple pose.
What's quite nice, you're pointing out the fact that he's done the photography there in the background. That's really cool in presenting the miniatures, is that it shows you what your miniature will look like if it was on a tabletop, and also what it looks like away from that, so that you can kind of get an idea of the painting style of it and all the details and everything as well. So it gives you two different sort of views on the same model, which is always nice.
And if you're at a convention that this person's ever at, you know exactly what the box looks like for the one you want.
Exactly. Yeah.
Again.
What is she using? Or is that just is that part of her armor there? Is it?
Yeah.
The big, yes.
Very much. She's got a mace.
Has seen too many people getting their head chopped off from a high swing.
I mean, it was just an aesthetic choice.
She went to the
wed with some of them.
She went to the Warcraft School of Shoulder Pads.
Yeah, very much so. It's very Warcrafty, actually. The fact that there's one is massive and the other one's just regular and tiny.
Yep.
Oh, I like the little shield hanging off the waist.
Yeah, shield at the back. Very nice.
And even if you weren't going to play confrontation, they're really interesting character models as well.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
To go into other armies for other things.
You could give her a weapon swap and put her into Doomed.
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah.
Most definitely. I mean, a lot of these, if you did a little conversion work, you could get them in the Doomed.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Bump, bump, bump. Have a look at some more orcs. So everybody likes an orc, and in this case, there's a whole host of them. Because when Rackham did the orcs, the orcs are the genetic offspring of human and goblin,
Right.
via the biomechanical engineering of the alchemists of Durs, who are not right in the head at the best of times. But then within that sort of orc faction then that sort of rebelled and ran off, they settled in different places, and they had several different sort of styles of tribes of orcs. So you got these that were very similar to sort of, what do you call them? Mongols, the Golden Horde type of thing.
Mhm.
Right,
And
yeah.
then other ones who are a bit more savage barbarians and shaman,
Mhm.
out in the wastes, which means then that you get these sort of interesting styles and aesthetic choices.
Interesting factions
That's-
within a faction or
Yeah.
a style anyway.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
it's very cool. Yeah.
This would be the auxiliary
Ooh.
type.
I like that. Oh, I like that he's got a rat helmet.
Well,
Or is it a rat skin coat or cloak?
it could be a bit of both. The goblins worship the rat god, but the orcs, when the orcs escaped, went with Jackal. And there was one of the Brontus somethings. I can't remember the name. Getting old. Old before my time. Look, scrolls. So many scrolls.
There's that unique weapon design as well. Again. Yeah.
That nice weave and flow to it.
Yeah.
It's like a big Lochaber axe. Has beard on it.
Yes.
I mean, do not want to get hit with that
Yeah.
ever.
I
Ever,
love
ever.
the delicate horns on those as well.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
really
Yeah.
nice.
They always had this interesting design, which is why so many sculptors today have been influenced very heavily by them.
Yeah. Yeah.
Where they would go from cleavers the size of your head to very delicate filigree or long horns, or I've got an ogre somewhere with an elephant head hat, and the two
Cool.
tusks come down and out, and it's just amazing. And you see it carried through in things like this.
Oh,
With-
Dumbo's head would have made a great cloak. Yeah,
Oh god, yeah.
Although I will say, just the face on this particular one, he looks like he's just riding up to you from a snowstorm with a side quest. Like, look at that face. Traveller, I have a dungeon that you could be adventuring in.
Please, can you remove this raven from my
Raven
head?
from my head. Yeah. Its claws are quite deep. I
Yeah.
really like it gone. Thank
My
you.
arm can't reach it.
And it keeps like pinching my right shoulder. I think it means it wants me to turn right.
That would make a lot of sense. Nimrod is another that would fit quite well in with the Droons.
Okay.
It's weird though, because the hyena, don't see hyenas a huge amount in fantasy for some
No,
other
not
reason.
really.
We see a lot of wolves, giant wolves everywhere. Occasionally some sort of saber-toothed tiger, lion, grand. Hyenas don't get a look in, which is a terrible shame.
It's the chap in New Zealand who did the Beast Wars stuff. He had quite a few, but I think that's probably the only example other than seeing this actually. So yeah.
There's
Although
another Magrum, the devourer of Vile Tess Wolfen. She has a hyena companion.
Right.
So like, at least this makes sense in world in that
Yeah.
hyena things kick around the place, and why not? It's quite good for drones as well, being a bit scavenging.
I do imagine that this guy actually, to get it to turn, actually has to smack it in the side of the head with one of those clubs.
Just give it a little
love tap. Just a little love tap.
Yep.
Yeah.
That, or it's like a rattle and he just shakes it next to the ear.
Well, that would work as well. I quite like the rattly clubs. It's got faces on them.
Yeah.
Grumpy. And even more grumpy. These are your choice for rattly clubs.
When he hits you with it, it prints it
it's the
into your
two most
skin.
feared faces on your parents: angry and disappointed.
It's better than the what do you call them? The tragedy and comedy, Masks of Theatre.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Angry and disappointed, the Mask of Parrot. But yeah, he's only been sort of doing this for about 2 years now.
Wow.
2-3 years. I think that the Etsy store kicked off around 2021. But he's got a little face page as well where he'll mention what he's up to currently.
Quentin Blavier.
And occasionally you'll see stuff that hasn't made it because he is just sculpting and trying to get better and do more stuff for himself, which means there are things that haven't been released. There's things that aren't going to be released. He's done like a 1/16 scale. I think it is the line of Alan, the red. Yeah, I'm going to click on the dragon. Don't worry. I can't remember the red ladies. Anyway, there's a character, but he's been doing it as a big figure.
Oh,
he was
wow.
doing it for a convention as an entry piece, but didn't get it finished in time.
That is phenomenal.
Based on the Sinbad dragon, the one that the elves kick around with. But that one was very much like the old sort of S shape, where the tail was on the floor. This bit more dynamic and leaping off.
The kind of classic Trish Carden style.
Yeah, I can't imagine that will ever be released, but my God, look at it.
Wow. You can see, look how delicate those wings are with the light coming through it.
Yeah. That's why I don't think it'll ever be released, because that would be a bugger to cast and not get flaws.
Yeah, but even then, actually working and painting, and crap, I slipped. I put my brush through its wing.
Absolutely
gorgeous,
stunning.
Yeah. So it's worth keeping an eye on what Quentin's up to on his his socially things and the Facebook as well. But I just think it's a really nice collection of character models, and obviously for confrontation fans, it's always nice to be able to get your hands on
indie as indie can be.
I aim for the indiest of indiness whenever I can.
Yeah, but again, with confrontation becoming more mainstream, is it indie because it's the indie of a mainstream topic?
Well, it's never mainstream. Oh, don't worry about that. We're always very much, we keep ourselves to ourselves. We're like that by nature.
Yeah.
In fact, I've got one of my tiny rulebooks. That's the fortification one for when.
I always imagine Jerry has just like two lazy Susans to either side of his PC that he can just rotate to pull up the appropriate miniatures.
Yes, I want to run war machines for confrontation.
Little tiny booklet.
Tiny
little book of dreams.
They came with them. They were in the back of the blister pack. So if you bought a war machine, then the little blister pack booklet for war machines was in there, which was just great.
Amazing.
It's like it came out of a Christmas cracker.
Confrontation, I love you. Anyway.
Because it makes Jerry look even more giant than he actually is.
Right. That was Rooted Design by Quentin Blavier, possibly. Who knows? Belgian, I'm not going to go any further with his pronunciation. Definitely worth checking out his Etsy store if you're interested in any of those. And if you're interested in confrontation, check out there's a couple of big Facebook groups and the Confrontation Club as well, because there's a lot going on. Every time I turn around, there's more going on, including Continuum, but we'll come back to Continuum in the future. Right, that's enough of the indie. Now time for the newsy. We'll be back after the swishy.
Coming to you from the center of Northwestern Europe. Covering board games, war games, card games, and all that you love. It's the news.
Okay, we're back for the news. And there's been a lot coming out of NOVA, the PBS science program. So why have Games Workshop decided that public access scientific journalism is the best place to announce all their stuff? What's going on?
Because they're trying to recontact Voyager.
Yes, yeah. And it's also the grim dark future is the future, so they're just getting it out there now and getting it done.
That makes a lot of sense.
Yeah. But yes, there has been a lot of news from Nova, of which we're going to go through and either be excited or very dismayed at. We shall see.
Oh, John has his face on.
Sorry, I've already told them that I'll be sleeping through this, so don't worry. Where are we starting?
Look, Jerry's actually got that little nodding duck from The Simpsons that's going to keep just clicking open tabs as we go through.
Where is your airplane pillow, Jerry? You got to be comfy, my bro.
Yeah. So we're starting things off with the place that everything starts when it comes to Warhammer 40,000, and that is Space Marines. So yes, we have a lot of new Space Marines coming our way. If you hadn't have guessed from the fact that the launch box was both Space Marines and Tyranids, we've already got the Tyranids, more on them later, but we're going to be seeing some even more Space Marines coming up in the near future. Look at all those tabs, people. Look at them.
That chin beard.
Yeah. So, kicking things off, we have a whole host of new Terminators dropping into the mix. There's going to be a whole new squad for you to dive in and use, alongside a variety of different variety of different character models as well that are now wearing their Terminator armor. So you've got the captain there, as you can see. There's also a chaplain who is wielding the craziest Arcanus.
No, sorry, that face. No,
I like the skull face, which is on.
That's ugh.
Yeah, and then this is the first time actually as well that you can get a chaplain with a shield. But there you go. That's something new that you can drop into the mix. So you've got Terminators of all sorts of different flavors and things coming down the line for you to dive into and have fun with.
Oh, it's just as bad the second time.
In addition to that, we also got a look at the effective replacements for the traditional assault Space Marines. We've now got the jump pack intercessors dropping into the mix. So these are your Primaris armored Space Marines with their new jetpacks. Lieutenant Titus, not Captain. Lieutenant Titus is flying around one of these in the Space Marine 2 trailer, so it was about time that we saw them coming to the tabletop as well. So you're going to be able to give them their sort of traditional sort of armaments of your bolt pistols and your chain swords and things, but you'll also have plasma pistols and hand flamers and power fists and all the other things that you might expect you'd get with your jump troops. So you can send them to claim objectives, smash a tank in half, or something in between. So,
Balance rocks.
Balance on rocks. At least they're not on flight stands. So
I mean, I would be very tempted to green stuff up. Just little balancing rock sculptures they do in rivers sometimes. Just do one of those on the side of the base.
There's a half mage sitting on one of those.
There is one of those. Yeah. Just buy enough of those bases and away you go. Yeah. They're all very zen. So yeah, this set obviously comes with options, as I was saying there. So you're going to get you things like hand flamers and power fists and all that kind of shebang at the same time. So yeah, I've
noticed that it no longer says Primaris.
No,
I was about to comment on that. Yeah.
Since they've double tapped all the old ones, this means.
Yeah.
Or set them across the Rubicon Primaris.
Yeah. You don't have to worry about it anymore. You just can't get the old ones. So you don't.
It's the astronaut meme of it's all Primaris. It always was.
It always was, yeah. Gun to the back of the head. That's the old ones going away.
11th edition is no more Firstborn.
Yeah. I will say that they have obviously shown off new Terminators and things. The Assault variant is still yet to come out. That will, you still have to use the old Assault Terminators if you want to, but they are probably going to be doing some Assault Terminators in the near future. Additionally, as we saw characters coming out with Terminator armor, we're also getting some characters with jump packs. So you'll be able to get yourself a
more
captain
rocks.
And even more rocks. Yeah. So you got a captain leaping into the fray with
are rocks the new skulls?
Rocks and skulls, yes. Yeah.
Are rocks the new skulls where it must have a rock?
Well, there is a little skull underneath that rock, as you see. So,
combo wombo.
The rock is balanced on the skull, which is balanced on a turtle, and it's turtles all the way down.
It's turtles all the way down.
Yeah. But yeah, so really cool stuff there as well. And you can see a little bit of an alternative. So if you wanted to dive in and play as and do something very Blood Angels themed, you've got the option to do that as well, which is nice to see. It's good that their character packs are actually coming with a good variety of options to them now, because it just means that you can play around with it and sort of make them fit the faction that you particularly enjoy playing. Well, the chapter that you enjoy playing anyway.
Yeah, so. Can't deny the variety is nice to see at least.
Yeah. We might have six captains, but at least all of those captains have lots of options within those packs. So
at least Lieutenant got promoted.
Yeah, they're gaining ground on the Lieutenant.
Yes.
Lieutenant, sorry, we're British.
Very true.
Very true.
Yeah.
America's just twitched.
Yeah, another one of the squads that is getting a proper revamp, much like with the Terminator squad, they're not Primaris Terminators. They are just Terminators, pretty much as they should have dealt with Primaris at the beginning, but never mind. This Scout squad are the just replacements for the original Scout squads. So they are still your... I would say young, but some of them aren't that young scouts that are sort of working their way up through the ranks.
Do they still have...
Were always vet sergeants.
Yeah.
Who were there to train the young kids.
Yes.
Yeah, but do they still have my sniper rifle?
They do have a sniper rifle. There you
Good.
Go. Yeah.
Sorry, that was just something I always loved, having a unit of these just to go character hunting.
Yeah, we kind of knew these were going to be on the way anyway since the Black Templar release, because they got the neophytes rescaled. So
yeah. Yeah. And that guy's wearing a power cloak. How cool's that? I know it's a camo cloak. Don't.
Maybe it is, though. Maybe it's
just a big sword.
Some sort of taser if anybody puts it on.
I mean, he has to be that fabulous. He can just swing the cloak up and cut your throat.
Hey, I mean, there is an entire cloak made out of flying hammers in Age of Sigmar, so who knows?
Coming this season from Couture.
Yes. In addition to that, they've also replaced the Sternguard veterans. We kind of knew this was coming as well because we saw a few of these as part of the Leviathan box. So they're landing into the mix.
I like that heavy flamer.
I was looking at flamer, yeah.
That's a nice, I like that double-barreled shotgun.
I'm going to say it now. Why couldn't the ones that had the dopey guns have these guns?
Oh, do you mean the Infernus?
The rocket pods on rocket pods. Rocket pods. And I heard you like rocket pods.
Yeah, the Nerf guns.
T-shirt cannons.
Yeah. So that is actually a new type of flamer, according to Games Workshop. So it's just a beefed up one.
I mean, is it a twin heavy flamer?
It's not a heavy flamer. It's a Infernus
cannon.
Yeah. Infernus heavy incinerator.
That doesn't work for the meme. Brother, get the Infernus cannon. No.
Well, that's it. They don't want the memes. They want us all to take this super serious.
Super serial.
Somebody meme that for me right now.
Yeah. You've also got a Company Heroes box that's coming down the pipeline as well. So
I like these.
Put together.
Heavy bolter's nice.
Yeah.
Honestly, I tell you what I'm seeing. See that guy on the far left? Remember the old command squad?
It's just him, but a Primaris did that.
Yeah, I know. But I like that they've taken that old school piece that so many people are going to recognize and upped it. I like that.
It does have a good heavy familiarity to it, doesn't it?
Yeah,
it does,
I like it.
I like the banner bearer there with the big cloak and stuff. I think that's really
He's kind of standing going, "No, this is my banner."
I like the fact that the banner doesn't cover half of him.
Yes,
the old one does.
Yes, and it's actually sitting central on his base instead of out to the side where you're going to
go. You've also got you don't tend to see this quite a lot with the Primaris kits, but there's also a chap with bionics there as well.
Yep.
So there's somebody who's had his arm ripped off by something during one war or another.
He must feel such shame. Everybody else is bright, shiny, and new, and you're there with a robot arm going, "I goofed."
Unless you collect Iron Hands, in which case that was voluntary.
Exactly.
Fair.
Yeah. Replace them all.
Flesh is weak.
Yeah. So yeah, some really nice stuff there for your Space Marines to be using. And then, of course, there's the Captain variants that you can get as part of that set. So you can sort of theme them to match whatever kind of Captain you want to run in your force on the tabletop. These are all going to be coming out alongside the new 10th edition Space Marine Codex, which, as you can see, is a chonker. Who would have thought it? So this will supersede the index cards that are already available. They're going to have the book come out alongside a new set of data cards.
Did you just say Workshop released a pointless product?
Yes, of course.
Oh. Congratulations, Workshop. You played them again.
I will also...
did it again.
More money means more money.
I will also say there's been no word as to how that interacts with the app yet. But if it's anything like 9th edition and 8th edition,
the app will crash.
Well, the app will crash. Although the app is actually pretty good this time around. But yeah, but I'd assume you're going to get a code probably as part of the book that you'll be able to unlock the stats and stuff.
Yeah, last edition that just did not work for me.
No, I didn't like it. It was paying for an app as well, so I think all the rules should be free in that.
Justin, did you play 9th?
I actually didn't. Even though I built an army for 9th, I never got to play it.
Imagine commenting on something you've not done, Justin.
See, here's the thing. I'm commenting on the rules, not the game.
You commented on the app. The app never worked for me.
No, I got the app. I tried to get it to work with the codex, and the damn thing didn't work. So I did do it. So shut up. Yeah.
Well, there we go. Children. Stop that, or we'll put you in separate row. Hang on, we've already put you in separate rooms.
So yes,
in the same room. Let's finish it.
A proper glow up there for a bunch of Space Marine units that you will have seen in the past, alongside some new miniatures as well. One of the things I should mention about the Codex and the way that they're kind of handling Codex compliant chapters this time around is that instead of having a specific detachment that's like says this is an Iron Hands detachment or this is a White Scars one, there'll be a particular way of playing your Space Marines that is, say it was themed around White Scars, themed towards the idea of fast attack vehicles and bikes and things like that. So it won't specifically say on it, this is the White Scars one, but it's kind of there to be implied to use alongside that. But it means that you're not going to feel sort of like aggrieved, or someone's not going to go, that's not right, if you start playing with a biker heavy force, but you've painted them all green like Dark Angels or
and
something
your captain's on foot.
And your captain's on foot. Yeah.
So hang on. It's a bit more generic, a bit more, shall we say, bland.
Well, no, the flavor's still there, but it's just been done in such a way that it means that you've got a lot more choice when it comes to your armies. So you could go in an entirely different route with your white scars if you really want.
I think there's more of a push towards you can make your own army however you want and theme it.
Yeah,
a bit more based on that rather than just saying I'm a white scars player, so therefore everything's on.
They've done it a few times in the past, but then shortly after, or when I say shortly after, maybe a few months or so after, then they go, "Oh, we are going to do a specific codices for them." And then they go back to default again. Whereas I like the idea of just a one and done. Just don't. I know they won't. I know that there will be chapter specific codex coming for all of them anyway.
But you see,
just having everything you need in one book where you can go, I'm going to make these into Flesh Terrors. I'm going to make these into Imperial Fists. I'm going to make them into whatever I want.
Raven Guard, Salamanders, etc.
You don't need to reinvent the wheel for every single chapter out there. So, maybe that's just me showing my age.
But so, Space Marines, done. Tick.
Yes.
Over last weekend, we also got to see pre-orders go up for the other side of the Leviathan box, basically, and all the other things that are coming out for, this weekend, in fact. You can get your pre-orders in at store.ontabletop for all of this stuff. So we've got a brand new codex for the Tyranid side of things. Wahey! So yes, that's going to be coming out. Again, much like with the codex I was talking about for Space Marines, this will supersede what already exists. So if you've already got that stuff, you're going to have to get the replacements or something. Alas.
Or not. But just if you've got the indexes,
just play with the indexes. That's all I'm going to do. I'm just going to play with the indexes. That's also why I chose an army that nobody likes, Chaos Demons, because they won't get done for like 3 or 4 years. So I'm fine. So yes,
never.
Yeah, this is going to, and also I can use them in other games as well because I can use them in Age of Sigmar and everything else. But there we go. Anyway, less of my hobby. You're going to be able to get yourself a normal codex, but you can also get a limited edition codex. A lot of people have pointed out that the normal codex just looks exactly the same as the 9th edition one. It's got exactly the same cover art. Don't get confused when you go into a shop. You have to ask for the 10th edition one, not the 9th one.
The limited edition one looks horrible.
I don't mind the artwork on the front of it. I don't like the background. But other than that,
the entire style of this looks horrible. And is that like random artifacts that are around the edge? Oh no, it's the little tassel thing.
Yes, it's a little tiny tassel.
Yeah, that actually makes it look like it's been badly photoshopped.
Well, yeah, it might have been as well, but I suppose. But yes, so you'll be able to get yourself the codex and the limited edition one. There's also a set of data cards. As I was mentioning, the Space Marines are going to get the same thing. You're going to get a little set of cards that you can use to reference your forces in battle. One thing I will say is good, regardless of whether or not, you can have to buy multiple things and that kind of thing, because they've done it in such a way now that all of your core rules for playing your army are effectively across 2 pages when it comes to your attachments and your special rules and your stratagems. And then if you've got the cards, you could effectively literally just have 1 page open in your book and your cards next to you, and you can play the game. It's a lot better than having to flick back and forth as they did through 9th. So, mileage may vary in that regard, but, decent way of doing things, at least for the new edition for now. You can also,
the curse of the special dice.
The curse of the special dice. At least they're not those weird Nurgle ones. So,
Workshop learned their lesson right quick with that one.
Yeah. But yes, of course, with all of these accoutrements, you're also going to be able to get your hands on all the new models as well. So these are the ones that were previewed a while back. So you've got your Combat Patrol, which is effectively the half of the Leviathan set that's now been sort of condensed down into that Combat Patrol set. So it's just a pick up and play box, which is pretty nice.
Also heard that this is a GW Store exclusive.
Oh, interesting.
Wait. You mean a website exclusive or their official store exclusive?
I think Combat Patrol Tyranids, maybe just initially, I don't know, is web store only.
Okay, that's weird, because that means even if you're walking into your local Warhammer store, you won't be fit to pick it up. You'll have to order it and wait for it to get there.
Interesting.
Because that's how all the web exclusive stuff works.
No, don't quote me on that. I heard that. I don't know.
Well, that feels very weird to me.
Yeah. You also have a whole set of new miniatures as well. So you got the Norn Emissary and the Norn Assimilator.
I like these.
Yeah, these are cool. These are very get away from how you bitch style aliens, which I quite like. So these are designed as effectively the most heavy-duty assassins you've ever known. You know how in some cases it's like, I'm an assassin. I'm stealthy and sleek, and I can slip between the cracks of a wall and get you while you're hidden in a mouse hole or something. These are like, no, I'm just going to smash the wall down and kill you.
So this mission has stealth is optional.
Yes, stealth is optional when it comes to these.
Oh, Jerry, stealth is always optional because if they're all dead, it's still stealth.
Yeah,
how many times do you have to say this? Although I will say, I think for cool miniatures, I think the Tyranids are the big winners at the minute.
They're certainly big, and
no, but just in general for straight up cool miniatures, they're the big winner.
Yeah, I think they've done. I think Games Workshop have done a really nice job on redesigning a lot of this stuff.
The reworks have done really well.
There's also the Biovore and the Pyrovore. So these are the classic miniatures. They've gone less guerrilla sort of styled with the big front legs and the back mortar almost. And they've gone for slightly more of a sort of Starship Troopers bug design, I'd say. Yeah. The big blue beetles.
Very tanker bug kind of look.
I missed the gorilla.
I missed the gorilla.
I think the gorilla was a better look.
See, I'm getting some nice Zerg vibes off of this, which I quite like.
Can be quite Zergy, yeah. So you've got the Biovore, which drops the spore mines, and then you've got the Pyrovore that basically just turns you into a big sticky goo on the tabletop. So you've got some options there for artillery and sort of heavy weapons, I suppose, in inverted commas for the Tyranids. There's also all the actual stealthy stuff. So you've got the Neurolictor. I like to think that he just infiltrates your brain. You've got the Lictor, who infiltrates your body by just stabbing you. And then you've got Death Leaper as well, who is your sort of new character option for you to drop into the mix as your named Tyranid with his lovely skin cloak.
Yeah, why does a Tyranid need a cape?
Because he's fabulous.
Maybe it's a chameleon kind of thing.
It might be. Yeah. It's powered as well.
Oh, that would be a cool paint job, painting it like whatever the background is. Would be kind
of. I mean, maybe it's for kidnapping people. It just grabs you and wraps you in the cloak.
Could well be.
Could well be. Okay, so it's a body snatcher.
It's a body snatcher cloak. Yeah.
I could have said the other thing, which would have been worse.
There's also there's also replacements coming for the sort of core units in your Tyranid force as well. So we'd seen the Termagants getting additional stuff over the course of Leviathan coming out and things like that. So everyone knew that set was coming their way. But the Hormagaunts are also going to be landing for you to pick up and play around with. So you're going to get slightly revamped versions of them. So if you don't want to shoot things, you want to stab them, you can play around with the big spiky boys. So they're going to get their new set. I really hope that they do just a separate box of Ripper Swarms, because having one per box just doesn't seem right to me. But
one per box.
I mean, does the Ripper Swarm still have a unit profile, I wonder?
It does, yes.
Oh, well, then I see why that's annoying.
Yeah. And then the one that everybody really wanted and everybody secretly hoped was actually going to be included as part of a Space Hulk box set.
Yeah.
Never going to happen. We have a new set of Gene Stealers that can be, as you can see there, designed with the Yirngal heads. So if you wanted to go for that slightly older style of Gene Stealer, you can do. But again, just sort of giving a little bit of a tweak, a little bit of an update. And obviously the Gene Stealer kit has been sort of sat around for a very, very long time, not really changing. And so Mold Line's big on. A new set is on the way for you to play around with. So,
you know what that is? The final molds for the Gene Stealers finally broke.
Probably, yes. Yeah. Also, someone just threw it in the bin and was like, oh no, they've gone. We'll have to make a new one.
What a shame. That was a Tyranid player in the stock.
Yes.
Smash. I'm sorry.
So,
oh no, it fell 5 times.
Yeah. So a lot of stuff there for people diving into Warhammer 40,000, both in the near future and also this weekend pre-orders.
It was definitely more a worry that the Gene Stealers were in danger of being stepped on by everything, including Gretchen.
Yes, probably.
Come on, these guys all need to be invigilated.
Yeah. Well, that's different. Normally we leave the 40k stuff to the end of the news.
Oh, just you wait.
Yeah. There are reasons.
There are reasons.
Oh, there's lots of reasons. It's mostly to stop me from just drifting off completely.
Yes. Yeah. I need Jerry to click the buttons.
Okay, so keep the Yeti engaged. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Sticking with a touch of the sci-fi, moving away from 40,000.
Yes.
Blacksite are up to more interesting and new things.
They are. So Blacksite seems to make a new game every couple of months. And they have a really fun new one that you can dive into, especially if you're a fan of kind of anime-themed mech battles on the tabletop. So this is Mobile Arms and their first set, which is called Endless Destiny, which sounds so anime it hurts. So this is a 28/32mm mech-based miniatures game with that kind of anime theme, as I was saying. In the game, you play as factions of mechs that are battling over zones of operation on the tabletop. You can play this on very small tabletops, as is tends to be the case with Black Site and their sort of like 2x2 style tables, or you can play it on much larger ones if you want to. The starter set that you see there, Endless Destiny, comes with 2 of the faction sets that you can see, which are very, very nice, each with their own design and theme. As you were pointing out, John, earlier in the week, I love that one because it's got a very sort of like Titanfall-esque theme to it, which I think is really, really nice.
But it's got the active-reactive armor.
Yes, yeah, which I think...
So I know which side John's going to pick.
Do you, though?
I would say you would go for
maybe
the
he's doing
right.
both. Maybe he's doing both.
Maybe I'm doing both.
Yeah.
maybe I'm already in on this, Justin.
So the game...
I'm not. I had no money.
So the game uses a custom D6 mechanic and also features a little bit of a fun sort of push your luck thing to it. So the game turns go back and forth between the players where they do actions with their different mechs. And as you build up points, you start to heat up your mech almost, and you have to go through to what you can sort of push things to the nth degree before you have to go into what's called like a venting phase, where your mech sort of goes through kind of like cool anime style, and like all the smoke goes everywhere, and you're like, oh my god, I can't carry on, and all that kind of fun stuff. You can tell that I've maybe watched anime about 20 years ago. But yes.
Akira.
But within that, you're also going to be trying to fight over objectives. So it's not just a smash your opponent to pieces kind of thing. And you have to be run around and earn credits for your particular faction and that kind of stuff. And the person who has the most credits by the end of the game is obviously the winner. They are doing this as kind of both digital and physical. So you'll be able to pick up the 3D printed versions. As you can see, there was like STL files and everything there. Or you can actually get the physical miniatures if you want. So if you don't have a 3D printer, you can go down that route, which I think is quite nice. I love the style of it. I love the ambition from Black Site. I like that they're just a company of creatives who are thinking, hey, wouldn't this be cool? Let's throw it out to the community. Because this is another one of their kind of like backroom projects where they put it up, and it's kind of like a little mini Kickstarter. So you dive in and you can pledge for it and bring it to life. So it's a really fun one where the community is actually fully involved in the process of bringing the game to life with them specifically, rather than it just being done through a larger platform like Kickstarter, which is obviously good for them in order to, keep a hold of a little bit of that revenue and already, put it back into the process of bringing the game to life. Also doing terrain. It wouldn't be Black Site without some terrain, which looks very nice and could obviously just be used for Infinity and all sorts of other sci-fi games as well, because it's that 28-32mm scale.
Well, their timing is actually pretty good for this, because the new Armored Core is either just launched or launching very soon. So it's
already out.
Yeah. So
I think
their timing is good.
Yeah, I think that may have been an influence in them bringing it out when they did.
Possibly. I mean, from what I'm seeing, from the little bits I'm seeing here, is you're building a frame, you're actually making a mech from the ground up, so it's kind of got that modular vibe that you get from some of those games, which is quite interesting.
Yeah, it's done by the guy who wrote Yafsiga as well, which is the kind of fantasy skirmish game where you go off into this strange, weird, mystical world, and you have to try and fight to control sort of portions of that for your faction and things. So the design's got a pedigree behind it.
Nice. Very nice. I kind of want to lay my hands on some of this terrain just because it is just so nice.
Yeah.
If they had just done the terrain on its own, I'd have been right in there.
But the fact
you can get it. You can get it
has put you off.
No, I never said the words. Words in my mouth. What the hell?
But yeah, so really cool stuff there. Definitely go and check it out if you're interested in this kind of vibe and you like the aesthetic of that kind of anime thing going on as well. So yeah, go and have a look.
We said for heat sinks.
Yeah.
Heat sinks are always good.
Of course.
Push your mech to the edge.
LRMs are better though.
It's glowing at all the little compartments and things, and it's about to explode.
You need to watch more anime, Ben. Catch up with the times.
Kind of.
In fact, tell you what you should watch. Witch from Mercury.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Maybe some people can drop me some fun mech-based anime suggestions in the comments as well. That'd be nice. So yeah,
it's not beyond the realms of possibility.
Yeah,
I hear people often comment in these videos. I imagine we'll see it all in the live chat.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you're watching this during the premiere, make sure to drop them in there. Very cool. Right, moving to the realms of fantasy, and before Jerry can interject with his own wonderful world, I'm gonna take you on a journey into the mortal realms.
Oh dear.
There's also a teaser for what's to come. So yes, Cities of Sigmar going against ogres in the newest Warcry set. It's a darn good job that we are doing this show just after I've written all of these, so I remember everything. So, yes.
I'm not going to lie. I'm kind of tired of Warcry.
Warcry is possibly the best rule system that Games Workshop has produced in the last couple of years.
Yeah, but it's so continuous with releases, trying to keep up with it.
But you don't need to do any of that. You don't have to follow the train. You just
FOMO.
have to. But FOMO is, you don't have to follow the
FOMO is part of gaming life.
Yeah.
If I was playing this game, I would feel incredibly pressured to keep up with this.
But there's no new rules in that. You can still play with the stuff that you had previously.
No, but there's the new miniatures and stuff, and you'll feel like you're missing out because it's not there.
Yeah, but they're going to be available eventually later on down the road. So you don't have to buy the box.
I don't know. I think release rates for this are going to burn their fan base out.
I don't like the season model that they've gone for. I think that's poo-pooey. But I do like the game, and I think the miniatures are very nice. So yes, this is the new set, which is called Hunter or Hunted. Which one is which? And this sees the hunters that we saw from the cities of Sigmar heading out ahead of their Dawnbringer crusades as they look to cleanse the way for their upcoming armies, and also to lay the roots for various cities. So this is where you get your sort of poor old mortals and their lovely dogs, who are going up against the deadly Gorgers from the Moorpack. So if anybody remembers Warhammer Fantasy Battles, there was like one Gorger model.
I remember that.
Yes, which was a sort of starved ogre in many ways, who didn't really have his gut, and so was sent out to basically destroy everything in his path and eat everything, including my cannons. Jack. But yes, this is then sort of new take on the Gorgers, who are the ogres who just cannot sate their hunger, and for some reason just can't keep it in their bellies either. I've probably just had a bad curry. And they are armed with all sorts of sort of crude and deadly weapons, as well as sharpened and broken claws and talons. And I love their big bloody maws and everything as well. It's a really fun, nice little set for the ogres that kind of builds on them, because obviously you can use these in Age of Sigmar proper, but also is a really nice little warband for you to drop into Warcry as well, going down the monstrous route rather than it being sort of regular based individuals, which I think is a nice way to go. And then you have the Wilder Corpse Hunters, who are the ones going up against them. We'd seen these previewed not too long ago as part of another sort of live streaming things. So these are, as I say, the sort of scouts and the rangers that go ahead of the Dawnbringer crusades to sort of keep everything safe, and they sort of know their ways through the hotlands of Gur and everywhere else in between. You get all those lovely humans, and then you get that lovely pack of dogs, because who doesn't like dogs? Can you pet the dogs? Yes, because it's a physical game. You don't have to worry about it. Just pat the dog. Just get your finger out.
Are you sure? Some of them look kind of spiky.
Oh, I'd still pat them, because they're lovely. They're so lovely. Oh, they're so great. But yeah. But yes, they're armed with crossbows and all sorts of different things. They don't like getting into close combat too often, and so they even have some special rules for them to dodge out of it and that kind of thing, which I think is a nice little addition. The thing that's a little bit different about this set is that Games Workshop, by their own admission, have said maybe you've probably got enough Warcry terrain now, and so this one only comes with one piece of signature terrain in it alongside the two warbands. Hopefully that'll mean that the price point comes down a little bit, but who knows. And this will allow you to play out very focused scenario based games with the Moor Pit. That is a sort of like it's
a Sarlacc pit.
It's a Sarlacc pit. It is basically a Sarlacc pit.
With bonus upside down skull.
Off this.
Yes.
And that's how it works.
Yes.
Yeah. And if your equivalent Boba Fett falls in, he's fine.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do they still sell, was his name Grease's Goldtooth?
Grease's Goldtooth. Alas, I don't believe he exists anymore.
The Jabba the Hutt fat ogre.
Yeah.
Just sitting there watching you push your Jedi.
But when the old world comes back, and they get around to the ogres, I'm sure he will return to the fold. Hopefully not as his big Finecast kit, because blur. But there we go.
Oh, Philcast.
Yeah. On top of that, oh God, so much stuff. We have some more stuff for Warhammer Underworlds before we get to the main Mortal Realms of the Age of Sigmar. So this is a new Warhammer Underworld set that sees Slaneshi demons, and they seem to have gone back to spelling demons D-A-E now rather than just D-E-M, so which is weird.
Diamonds.
Diamonds.
Yeah, I don't think there's a lexicon in the Games Workshop offices.
Matt Damon. But yes, this is a new Underworld set that sees the Hedonites of Slaanesh going up against the Idoneth Deepkin. And just because that one time they released a small crab and everybody went crazy for it, they've decided they're going to put pets into every warband from now on, apparently. So there's your squid.
It's a good move.
You need your mascot.
It's a good move.
It is a good move.
It's the best move they've made in 15 years.
Yeah, it makes memes.
Why?
So
what did they do 15 years ago? So
didn't do them. Yeah.
Not their current price model, that's for sure.
Fair.
So these are the Thricefold Discord. These are a trio of Slaaneshi demons that even the Hedonites don't get on with because they find them too annoying. And they actually sort of bicker between themselves about who's the best and all this kind of thing, which seems apt for a band of Slaaneshi demons. And so the leader of the Hedonites has sent them off into the Death Gorge to collect 666 souls for Slaanesh. And hopefully it's going to be a team building exercise for them. And they're going to be friends by the end of it. They're not. They're demons. So there we go. So that's a new set. Yeah.
Slaanesh is magic, not friendship.
Yes. And then we have the Idoneth Geepkin with the Sirenes Razors, and similar to Slaanesh, but in a sort of different style. These are your elves that are a little bit of a failed experiment under the rule of Teclis, and so they are off to try and harvest some souls for themselves. So as you can see, one side wants souls, the other side wants souls. Now it's become a soul off, and is the meaning behind this little confrontation down in the Death Gorge. And I'm sure we're going to see a lot more warbands in the near future for this as well, because it's the sort of opening to the new season, I suppose, of Warhammer Underworlds. On top of that, you're going to get a couple of decks that allow you to play these warbands straight out of the box, but then you also get the two ones at the bottom. So you've got Breakneck Slaughter and Force of Frost, which are themed to the new environment and can be used with any warband. So in Games Workshop's mind, even if you don't want the models, you might want the decks. Why? But there we go. So
it's one of those things.
Some nice stuff there.
But buy this thing, give us money.
Yeah. Talking of buy this thing and give us money, there's one more thing for Age of Sigmar, because of course Games Workshop have got even more. Don't worry.
Oh, my levels of burnout are rising.
Oh, well, we've got to get it out now. Otherwise, oh boy.
Oh no, go through it. I'm going to be dead in a minute here.
Yeah. So we have more stuff for the Forces of Destruction in Warhammer Age of Sigmar and the Mortal Realms. The Iron Jaws are on the warpath, but also so is a very smart troll. Well, he says he's a smart troll, but we'll see. So yes,
no way to tell for certain he isn't.
Yeah, so this is Trug, the Troggoth King, which is just a little bit away from Throg, the Troll King, who was in Warhammer Fantasy Battle and was also a leader of trolls. Here we go. So this is Trug, the Troggoth King, who has been asleep for millennia within the Mortal Realms.
Yeah, I see all the Goblin graffiti while he's been knocked out.
Yes. And entire civilizations have been built on the back of him since he's been asleep. But Alariel cast her Rite of Life, and that aggravated him from his slumber. And now he is awoken. But unfortunately, he could not, for whatever reason, shake the arcane device strapped onto his back, or at least grown into his back. And so now this has kind of influenced his mind, and he wanders around the ley lines of the Mortal Realms, trying to smash as many magical things as possible. And perhaps this thing is guiding him towards some larger purpose. We'll never know.
Or he's not smart enough to realize that the thing on his back is what's giving him that horrible, horrible headache.
Probably, yes. So yeah, you get a new Troggoth leader for you to use in the Mortal Realms. Very fun miniature. I'm sure a lot of people are going to have a nice time with this one. I reckon this could be got a proper
I'm
big
surprised there wasn't just like a little tramp stamp right on there.
Maybe there is underneath that loincloth. Who knows? But yes, lots of fun stuff for you to get stuck into there for the Gloomspike Gits. He can lead entire legions of Troggoths on the tabletop if you so desire. That's all going to be detailed in a new book, which is called The Reign of Beasts. So this is book 2 in the Dawnbringers cycle for Age of Sigmar. So if you want to follow the narrative and where things are going with that, you're going to be able to pick this book up and dive in and have some fun. It also has rules in there for a couple of other factions, and also rules for running a mercenary company of Caradron Overlords if you want to play around with them, which is quite nice.
How big must that snail have been? I can't
quite large.
Yes, yeah, that huge snail on the club. Yeah,
I mean, hang on, he's maybe robbed a hermit crab.
He could have, yeah. So there's a naked hermit crab running around somewhere going, "Oi!"
The thing about hermit crabs is they steal those shells from snails.
Yes.
And other
yeah.
things. So, so how big would that? I mean, I want to see a regiment of those.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Have you not seen the snail someone has on Instagram? It's like that size.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's like the size of their torso.
It's like a rabbit.
Still just as slow. Although he is quite the beefy boy.
Oh yeah, he's bigger than all those Troggoths. So yeah, he's quite the beast. Talking of badasses and beasts, we also have some more stuff coming out for the Iron Jaws. They're actually going to get a proper little bit of an update. So you've got a new leader called Zogrok Anvil Smasher with another little cool pet.
Elvis Squig.
Yeah, so there's a Clonk.
Anvil Squigs. You gotta love them.
Elvis Squig, man.
Yeah. So he is one of the smiths of the Iron Jaws. What would have given it away? And he forges some of the biggest, baddest beaten sticks for the Iron Jaws to use in their games. And I like that he comes with are they called calipers? Those kind of things, yeah. Calipers?
Tongs.
Tongs.
Yeah. Calipers measure.
Yeah.
The old saying going something hammer and tongs.
Yeah, so he's got the hammer and tongs and his big burning blade as well. And he's got a little tiny crucible on his back too, which is probably not good.
Yeah, although John, for the squig, do you think he hits it and just hears, thank you very much?
Maybe. So yes, you got that new character leading the way. You also then got 2 specialized units. This is a dual kit, so you can make either of these. So the Brute Rages, this hurts my Slayer heart, but these are Iron Jaws who have made a boastful brag within the Iron Jaws army and not been able to follow it through to the end. And so following their shame, they've decided to strip some of their armor off, grab their weapons, and head out onto the battlefield to try and earn a name as the biggest, baddest orcs, or die trying. Oh my god, my dwarven bones.
No, hang on. I know exactly what this unit is. What do you mean I didn't do it? All right, fine. Hold my beer.
It is the Hold My Beer unit of the Iron Jaws. Yes, you're very true. Next to them, as we can move away from these because my Slayer heart is dying, we have the Weird Brute Wreckers. So these are Uruks who have been so infused by the power of Gork and Mork and everything else in between in the war that they've gone a little bit kooky. And that's kooky in terms of the orcs as well. And so what the weird knob shamans have done is they have nailed bone and metal masks to their faces. Obviously, having something nailed to your face isn't the most pleasant of experiences, which means that they basically just see a green rage for the rest of their lives. And clearly, the shamans think they're doing them a solid, but it's actually just a terrible, terrible existence. And so they are sent out into the middle of the battlefield to destroy everything in their way. Think of them a little bit as like the fanatics, I suppose.
Yeah, well, this is what I was going to say.
Dwarf berserkers.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I once saw a Night Goblin fanatic. It looked fun.
Yes.
Goblin shaman goes, I can help you with that.
Exactly. Yeah. And one of them's wearing the face of Big Bird, which is always good to see.
Yeah. Well,
come down to Sesame Street. We'll beat you up.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, no, Sesame Street apparently got cancelled.
Oh, well, there we go. Don't let Lloyd know. So yes, on top of that, we've also got a update to the Ard Boys. So a lot of people know that the Ard Boys originally, when Age of Sigmar released, were basically just the Black Orc models that got recycled into the Iron Jaws army.
Orcs.
With Warhammer the Old World coming out soon, that unit is obviously going to have to be phased back into being used for Warhammer Fantasy Battles. And because Games Workshop wouldn't want you to use too many kits for dual purposes.
By the way, give us more money.
Yeah, they've decided to build the Uruk Ard Boys, as you can see here. I got to say, it's a pretty badass glow up for them. They look really kind of cool. I love the armor style. I love the weapons. I think painting them in a slightly different way, maybe without the yellow, perhaps, could be really fun. But yeah, a pretty badass unit, and it's almost a shame that they didn't do this when they first came out, I guess. But yeah, very cool.
Get there in the end. They're like real.
These I could like a little bit more just because the armor looks a bit more scrapped together.
Yes, it's more in line with the characters that have already existed for them, which is I think is nice. Just a nice little note to the end of this as well. The rules for these and a lot of the other units you've just here are going to be free. Free.
Yeah, I can get free miniatures. Sweet.
Well, yeah. Okay.
Oh, wait, no. Workshop.
No, free rules. So yes, this is a Battletome supplement, Iron Jaws, which can be attached to the Orruk War Clans one. So all of the new rules for these models will be included in there, and they'll just be available as a free PDF download. You won't have to buy a new Battletome in order to get access to those, which is a bonus.
Until they bring out the new Battletome.
Yeah, but it'll be a new edition for Warhammer Age of Sigmar next year, so nothing to worry about. There we go. So
don't worry about it, Chief. It's just money.
Very fancy.
Yeah. Oh, I need a break now, Jerry. Quick,
need a break. Do you want to have a little lie down, a little rest? just let me deal with this.
Yeah.
Everybody else can come back in an hour once I finish talking about the multi-award winning Moonstone.
Oh, please no.
Oh yeah, I've had to listen to you wetter on about the Whamsters and the 40Ks.
I blame Ben. Not my fault.
None of that.
Don't punish me for Ben's.
You talk too.
Stop talking. Not much.
You talk too. So, Goblin King Games have released 2 new sets, 2 new boxes for the multi-award winning Moonstone. The game of whimsical fantasy on Tauber.
He even puts that on his site now because
he does put it on the site now because somebody keeps every time he doesn't, somebody keeps correcting him. I don't know who. So here we have the full set of 4. So this is actually the Wyrdwood Troupe box and Gump, the delightfully large tree on the left.
Yes.
These do a couple of things for Moonstone. Right off the bat, they introduced tree folk and a spirit called the dendrites, who essentially inhabit and animate trees. So these aren't ents, these aren't a race, these are spirits that have the option to inhabit for a long period of time or flit from tree to tree as they float down the mighty rivers as they see fit, which means you end up with things like the poor dead elm inhabited dendrite, which is both a tree folk, a spirit, and technically one of their new shades, one of their undead, which came about as part of the fate of Eric. We start to get the storyline during the campaign that was run that introduced Eric as a full-fledged knight for the Lashavult, and was at one point an avatar of the god Lashavut himself in that scenario. But we've got this sort of progressing storyline in Tauber where the shades have started to crop up and they need beaten back down in many respects. So there's some interesting little nuggets that are coming along. With the fate of Eric itself, when they ran that campaign, this spirit that didn't have a name, I think. Oh no, actually she was named. So Dranir started sort of gently steering Eric, offering him the options of which way he was going to go. It's essentially a trickster god rather than a spirit itself per se. But the Wyrdwood Troupe box, which is the 3 on the right, introduces Dranir, Root, and the other one I can't remember.
Stump. Root and Stump, isn't it?
Could be that. And then you can add to them Gump if you so desire. It's a really nice set of resin figures, but more importantly,
Root
really
and
interesting.
Snag, sorry.
Snag. There we go.
Yeah.
Because they add additional abilities, and Moonstone, if you haven't played it, which is a terrible tragedy, if you haven't, you can go and download the rules and some paper cutout ones that you print.
I just have to finish my basing for the 2-player starter set.
Hurry up. But it's all about synergies, because when you build a force, you build based on the models you want to play. So you don't have to worry about points or anything else. All you have to do is make sure that there's a faction that ties in, and some things are multiple factions, so they could be dual faction based, or a theme you want to follow. There's already stuff out there with the likes of the fawns for the Lashavult, who can grow little wooded patches and stuff like that. And with these new sets, there's a lot of synergies in there where models can be pulled towards wooded patches, healing is done, damage is done based off them. So you can set up some interesting combinations, especially with Gump being in there, the massive tree folk that just sits in the middle, acts like an anvil, roots itself to the ground, can't be pushed around, and then can actually pull models towards themselves, and then they interact then with the wooded patches within the glades as well. So
nice.
It's a nice little drop that people weren't expecting. I think Tom mentioned it briefly at UKGE that there was something coming between now and the end of the year, because the idea is then that the storyline will progress a bit further. So that's been chucked in there for people to lay their hands on. They went up for pre-order this week and they are released the 11th of September. There were also limited edition figures that launched at the same time. This is from an ever-dwindling batch of limited edition figures that Goblin King Games have made previously, and sometimes they're available through Kickstarters and that sort of thing. After about 3 hours of that order being up, 5 of the 6 had sold out.
Wow.
So I think Fritz is now gone as well, which is, great if you manage to get in there early enough. And if you see my unboxings, I mentioned it was coming, so you have no excuse.
You were warned.
But yeah, it's really nice to see not just new stuff for the last Chevalt, the best faction in Tauber, but also a new take on a sort of an old classic of the Tree Man sort of romping and stomping around the place. So potentially we might see both more of the dendrites, the forest spirits in the future, but also potentially the way they work. Eric the Squire becoming Eric the Knight took a long time, and he's the sort of the first model I'm thinking that has pushed on in the storyline. But now they've done it once, there's always the potential that we might see things like this flit around in future, and we might see some of these models change over time as well.
So Baron Von Extra Fancy Hat.
Just a bigger hat every time.
Bigger hat, just like that film. It may happen that way. But there's always the story going. There's always the narrative there in the background that's nice, being worked on quite significantly as well. So I want to see more. I want to see more Moonstone. I want to see where things go, and I want more people playing it, because it is multi-award winning after all.
I mean, I have finally dipped my toe. I am working on it, and I cannot wait to start expanding.
Very cool.
It's all about filling all the rooms with Moonstones, all of them, all the time.
So at some point, all those shells behind Justin will just be Moonstone miniatures.
I am fine with this.
But also the interesting thing is they started to hint at what the Wizards, the Eldritch, are up to with the Moonstones. The whole reason, the purpose behind the game, in the Awakening, the Arising. Sorry, different campaign from different company. The Arising introduced the first Eldritch figure, and then sort of give a bit of a hint about what they're going. What's going on in that big tower of wizards. So I'm excited to see what happens next. If people missed out on the Eric saga, it's available in the download section over on the Moonstone website. So you can actually go back, and in fact, they've done a couple of them. So there is the Fate of Eric, and you can see all the parts that were put together for it, and the special rules that the various little Squire Erics had, which is a good way of going back and re-looking at the story again. But also there are hints in there, like I say, Draenir first appeared in here as just a bit of artwork, and then she got added to the storyline. So there may be other little nuggets within the text or within the artwork that may appear in the future as well, from Goblin King Games. So really looking forward to more of that. Thank you very much. See, that wasn't too painful, was it?
No.
Oh, no. I love it.
Now for the pain.
That was very, very nice.
Right.
Go on then.
We'll cap things off. We'll get it finished. Okay. Right. Let's limber up. Right. Okay. So, to begin with, some more news for Warhammer The Old World. It's coming. It's nearly here.
Eventually. Probably.
So yes.
Why so much workshop this week?
Because the Nova Open happened, Justin.
PBS
so yes, we have a new miniature that has been previewed for use with the Bretonnian faction when they eventually come to the tabletop once more for Warhammer the Old World. This is Lady Elise Duchard, who is one of the prophetesses, one of the servants of the Lady of the Lake within the Bretonnian army. She is the one that's going to be giving you your blessing at the start of the battle and making sure that all your knights don't die too horribly. She comes on the back of that wonderful looking unicorn, as you can see there, and sort of tying into those themes of nature and everything else. You've got that really cool scepter design that I think is very nice, and then you've got the sort of the bridle of sort of vines and leaves and flowers, which I think is a really good touch to sort of previous models that were done for the Bretonnian range as well. She's going to be one of the resin Forge World miniatures that's going to be added into the mix alongside the Bretonnians. The new releases and any of the re-releases will contain a lot of new plastic stuff as well as older miniatures. And then you'll get the Forge World stuff at the same time alongside that. So if you've looked at previous games of this ilk, well, previous games in this style. So, for example, Horus Heresy, when it initially released, had a lot. Well, and even now actually has this kind of mix between both plastic stuff and also the resin miniatures that are created by Forge World at the same time. So you can use these as centerpieces and special characters within your force, but you're not going to feel like you have to, because you can always just go down the route of getting the plastic stuff that's available from Games Workshop and whatever else they do in the same vein. That is a pretty badass looking unicorn, and he definitely needs to be covered in blood, because why else give a horse a horn if it's not to stab people? So
why are the older versions so angry looking?
Because it was Warhammer.
Why would you not be angry looking?
Yeah.
I'd say it reminds me an awful lot of Archaon's horse.
It is a lot like Archaon's horse.
In both size and style of presentation.
Yeah. Yep.
I've just seen that, yeah. That is definitely the Ever-Chosen's horse.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's the latest preview for Warhammer the Old World. There are conflicting rumors online as to exactly when this is going to come out. Some people are saying October, November. That seems a little bit close for me. I think that's probably going to be around the time reserved for Legions Imperialis. I would imagine this is probably going to be coming out next year at some point during the summer, maybe.
Maybe the summer. Although if you're talking about an Age of Sigmar launch as well, then maybe
we'll see us in spring, perhaps. It seems a given that we're going to get 2 box sets to launch this. So you're going to have a Tomb Kings box set and a Bretonnian box set. They're not going to do them as a combined force this time around. That obviously means we're going to hopefully see the rule book dropping around that time as well.
Or maybe they'll do a Tomb King rule book and a Bretonnian rule book.
Oh, they're going to have army books, and then you'll have
no. I mean, like a core book, if that's the set.
Well, maybe actually that could be quite interesting. Get like themed ones. But yeah. So no word exactly on when they're going to be coming out, but I would warrant next year at this point, as they're showing off all these miniatures. So
didn't Imperialis get pushed?
It did get pushed. It was pushed for another reason that I think has been speculated online.
Okay, fair enough.
If you want to find out about that, you can watch some videos. Falrock, go and watch a Falrock video. He'll tell you. But yes. Whether or not he's right, who knows, but it's nice to speculate. Talking of the Horus Heresy, though, we do have some stuff coming out for the big version of Horus Heresy in 28mm. And starting things off, we have a very, very big miniature. So if you ever wanted to get yourself a Demon Primarch, how about Fulgrim Transfigured? Yeah, what a big boy. Those wings are probably most of the model.
Yeah.
Frankly, stunning. And incredibly well sculpted and looks amazing. But I defy anybody to ever take him to a tournament ever without him breaking. So
is he plastic or is he Forge World?
He is resin.
Forge World resin.
This is going to be a big resin kit.
That's a big shame, because you know every other Demon Primarch has been a plastic kit. Now I know this is for Heresy, but at the same time.
Yeah. It should also be noted that he is not getting rules for Warhammer 40,000. So a lot of people are like, oh my God, Demon Primarch Fulgrim, definitely want the rules for him in 40k. He will not have them.
I don't think he's even turned up in the narrative for 40k.
No, but he is sort of in the background, isn't he, somewhere? So he might...
he's floating about in the Immaterium, distracted.
Yeah.
There'll be a season for it.
Distracted.
Yeah. There probably will be. And I'm sure that means we're likely to get a version of him for 40k at some point in the future. But if you are a Horus Heresy fan and you like your Emperor's Children, you have a pretty big miniature to add into the collection there, as you can see.
I'd rather see Angron first.
Angron's been done.
Angron's been done.
Yeah.
Okay, I've been living under a rock. Apologies. I'm going to Google.
There's a big demon Angron. So,
even I knew that.
Yeah. and Jerry blocks all this out.
Yeah.
To Jerry, this is just a monkey bashing symbols together. As well as that, we've also got a new plastic set for the Mark III tactical squads. So if you like running legions that have this particular armor variant as one of their preferred ones, so likes of the Salamanders or the Iron Warriors and things like that, you can be able to pick up this set. It's compatible with the other sets that they've done for the Horus Heresy, so you can mix and match your armor patterns if you like, which is what a lot of the Space Marine legions did and continue to do to this day. So if you wanted to play around with that, you've now got the option to do so. Pretty nice kit. Looks really fun. So
good to see the Mark IIIs come back.
Yes,
after the old Heresy boxes and everyone crying over those kits going away.
Yeah, very much so. And these are actually going to also be part of a new box set. So this is the Legion to Astartes Battle Group set, which comes with a lot of them. So you get a lot of Mark III armor, as you can see there. You also get the Land Raider at the front, rumbling along, looking like a little old dinky toy. And then in the background, another new addition to the range is the plastic Derrideo Dreadnought. So if you didn't want to rock around with tanks, but you still wanted heavy weapons, why not just strap them to a big coffin?
Glad to see this.
All the LRMs.
I'm very glad to see this, because when we got the Leviathan Dreadnought, I was like, it can't be far away now from having this in plastic.
So yeah, Derrideo Dreadnought now available, going to be available in plastic in the near future with a variety of different weapon options. It also means it's going to be one of those dreadnoughts that you don't have to buy two separate things, or maybe even three, in order to get the weapons and the body and all the other things in order to make it. So
thanks, Forge World.
So yeah, very nice if you're looking to blast things away.
Futures magnets.
Yes, just choose magnets. Yeah. Last but not least, for the worlds of Games Workshop and Warhammer, everything else in between, don't worry, we're nearly done. It's nearly
Nuffle.
Yeah. Yes. We have some pride for Nuffle. So the Vampires, a classic Blood Bowl team from back in the day, they are going to be returning to the tabletop with another absolutely fun looking team.
Lloyd is going to adore these.
Well, yeah, there's quite a few black Batwings.
I was being sarcastic.
I know, yeah. But so in typical vampire team style, you get a variety of the vampires themselves, although they've now got new positional players. So you've got throwers, runners, and blitzers. And then you've also got the thralls, as tends to be the case when it comes to vampires. They still have the same rule where they have the bloodlust. So you need to have thralls nearby them so that they can suck on them in the middle of the game, just like a good old orange juice, but crimson. And then... Yes.
I mean, they've got Bloodweiser on the pitch.
They do, yeah. And as I say, a great little set that really shows off that the sculpting team behind, especially Blood Bowl in particular, seems to just have a lot of fun with these teams. There's loads of fun characters built into this. I like the kind of Hammer horror sort of over-the-top vibe for these. It really meshes with the kind of silly element to Blood Bowl,
yes,
and the game's not taking itself too seriously, which I think is really good and very in keeping with Blood Bowl as a game anyway.
I mean, the guy holding the bat, does he have a sticky plaster on his head?
I can't.
That looks like a sticky plaster on his head.
He does have a sticky plaster on his head, yeah. So he has been bitten by his pet bat.
God.
As is the case with all
the ball.
Yeah, as is the case with all of the Blood Bowl teams. They're not pictured here, but they were in the preview article. They add lots of extra stuff onto the sprues. So there's actually like a little coffin set that you can buy to sort of work as like something to put on the touchline. And there's little balls that actually have bats in sort of incorporated with them. So there's like a bat pulling a ball off the pitch and that kind of thing. So you've got some people sort of cheating and all that kind of stuff. So they've done a really nice job on sort of adding the character to the Blood Bowl teams. And again, it's a great little game system if you want to play something that's not like mainline Games Workshop stuff. I'd highly recommend trying out things like Blood Bowl, or as I was mentioning earlier in the show, Warcry, another really good game with a really good set of rules. So yeah, definitely. And if you don't like the new one, just go play the old version of Blood Bowl.
Yeah,
just use the models.
Use the additional stat. No need to add that.
Who needs the pass stat? Yeah. So yes.
Like it. Well done, Ben.
I've done it for another. Just wait. There'll be another bloody Warhammer preview next week, and I'll have to do it all over again. Oh God!
It will not be this gigantic. I'm sorry. That was big to try and get through.
That was a lot of Warhammer.
The important thing to remember is the multi-award winning Moonstone has 2 sets out for pre-order.
Yeah,
there was some Warhammer stuff as well.
Yeah, and check out those really awesome mechs. They were badass.
Jerry, I'm not lying. I am sitting hovering over the checkout button in their web store right now for some bits.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Right, follow us, kids. We're right behind you. We'll be returning in just a moment to finish off the show.
Did you win one of our prizes? Find out on our prize claim center over at OnTableTop.com. Here we list all our previous prizes and those who have won. If you see your username, fill out the form to claim your prize. All prizes must be claimed within 30 days.
Okay, we're back with a couple of Kickstarters to round out the show.
And
the first thing we're going to do is go all medieval on your ass.
Yeah, so we're going to be looking at some more Warhammer historic. No, we're not doing any more Warhammer, don't worry.
And I will reach through this monitor.
So, yes, we're starting things off with a little bit of medievally goodness. Firelock Games have been working on their new rulebook, and it is now available over on Kickstarter. Blood and Crowns continues their series of games. They have done Blood and Plunder, which is their piratical game. They've done Blood and Steel, and what's the other one?
Colonial Warfare.
Blood
and Valor.
Blood and Valor, the World War I game.
Yes, they are there.
Yeah, they all. I could have just watched the video. So yes, they've continued.
I'm still waiting for Blood and Lasers.
Blood and you never know. So yes, this is them diving into the era of the 100 Years' War. So this is the sort of prime medieval period for lots of heroes in armor, peasants with bows, mud, blood, and battles in Flanders and everything else at the same time. But the important thing is this isn't sort of like a big mass battle style game. This, in the style of other Firelock games, is a little bit more of a skirmishing affair. So it's the fights that happen in between some of the big battles and the skirmishes and things that are led by daring heroes where they earn honor and renown in close combat with their enemies, or just to beat up a bunch of peasants and say they killed someone important.
Also, or you're just coming up short on some sheep and, oh, look, my neighbor has some.
Yes, that too. So yeah, you'll be diving in with some very familiar game mechanics. They've got the same card bidding system that you will have seen in previous Firelock games, and also those cards then dictate the actions that a unit can use. And in traditional sort of wargaming fare, this will be sort of moving, shooting, and attacking in combat and everything else in between. There are some sort of additions to the game mechanics that have been put in to sort of theme it towards the idea of that sort of medieval period. So you have honor and chivalry and renown, and you can do some things where you can capture nobles and gain points for collecting them and stuff like that, and link them into larger campaigns if you want to, where people can duel for honor and everything else in between. And they've also got a nice fatigue system in there as well, which is good to see. And some good ways for you to play as a variety of different factions from within this period. So you'll be able to play as the kingdoms of England, Wales, and Ireland, if you like, alongside Scotland, France, Spain, and because it's Firelock, they've even included some piratical and mercenary elements into the mix as well, which I think is a really nice addition. As well, because this is Firelock, they haven't just reserved the fighting to the land. They have also included rules for playing out games on board ships. So if you want to sail around on cogs and barges and everything else in between, you can actually fight out some naval engagements or some landing actions, everything else as well, if you prefer, which I think is a nice little touch. Much like with the Blood and Steel and Blood and Valor, this game isn't going to come with a range of miniatures directly from them anyway, because there are lots of medieval miniatures out there in the world. If you like the Perrys
plastics,
or if you like Claymore castings and everything else in between, you'll be able to go out and pick up a whole host of medieval miniatures. Antediluvian, another good company that you might want to go and check out. Go and snap up some of their miniatures and use them to represent the characters for your warbands in this game. I saw some people asking about the sort of size of armies that you need for this. A lot of the pictures have shown somewhere between like 20 and 30.
Yeah,
about right.
It would cap out around about 40, I would think.
Yeah.
Depending on the size of game you're playing.
Yeah.
Because it follows the same sort of list building. So you're not having to, you're not dealing with massive armies.
Yes.
Unless, as we've already been discussing in the Discord with some of the other Cult of Games members, dropping down to 15 mil and multi-basing.
Exactly. Yeah.
So you
could easily do
keep
that.
everything else the same, but every time you say one figure, you just put a base of 3 or 4 figures down, and all of a sudden you've got a little mini force. They're still not massive, huge. You're not looking at Cressay or anything like that, but all of a sudden you've got a broader sweep on the tabletop.
Yeah. So instead of a unit of 5 guys, you've got a unit of 15.
Yeah.
So, as I say, no miniatures involved with this one, so it'll just be you picking up the books and everything else around it. So you'll be able to get the PDF versions of these elements if you prefer, or you can go for the print ones, as you can see there. I think print would be the way to go, especially with the lovely artwork and stuff you've got on these. It's just gorgeous. In addition to the rulebook, there's also the activation deck and the unit card deck. There's also that token set as well. So you'll be able to use those to help you out in the midst of battle, always very important. You also can get your hands on some nice add-ons, like there's the cog ship there and Joan of Arc, so you can get yourself a really awesome miniature for her. We did mention last week that Bad Squiddo is going to be looking at Joan of Arc as well. So if you want an alternative, you could always go down that route and get one from her, which would be quite nice. The Black Prince is coming up. Everyone loves a little bit of the Black Prince. And there's also Pedro de Castilla as well, which is nice.
Yes.
So, yes.
No idea who Pedro is. That'd be fascinating. I'd be surprised if he didn't turn up somewhere clever.
Yes. In this era, he is probably some form of horrible bastard.
Yeah, that does seem to be the case with most of the medieval era, I suppose. But
I'm very curious with this to see how they've actually retooled the rule system to work the fatigue system. Because in the other ones, you've got your reload counters and stuff, but for this, are you going to gain fatigue by like doing double firing with your archers or doing like bigger movements? Is it going to be more of a key feature for folks having to run around in heavy armor?
Yeah, it might be tied into the units themselves and sort of pushing particular units, and then depending on what they are.
I'm hoping it's pushing certain actions.
That would be cool. Yeah. Like archers get it from pushing the firing, as you say, and then knights get it from maneuvering and things. That could be cool.
And again, your sword and board guys are going to get it from like actually taking a charge is maybe going to generate it, depending on what's charging you. Yeah, very curious to see how Mike and the boys have done this.
Well, we'll find out next week because I'll be interviewing the writer, Eric.
You will? Yeah. So we can pose those questions to him.
Well, if anyone else has questions,
drop them down below. Jerry could use them.
Do it quickly.
Yeah. Yes. Very true. Yes. Do it very quickly.
I'm talking to him tomorrow morning.
Yes.
That's how that one goes.
I will say this is definitely an era that you would want to dive into if you like the idea of playing that slightly grittier side of the medieval period. It as I say, it's the 100 Years' War, so it's a lot of back and forth and territory getting burned and taken and castles changing hand multiple times, of French knights getting stomped into the mud and the mud sort of dribbling through into their visors so they choke inside their armor.
I'm getting the feeling Ben does not like the French.
No, I don't mind the French. I just like shooting them in the medieval period.
You need someone to fight.
Also, I've been watching Sharp for the last 3 weeks. Of course, I don't like the French.
It could be Burgundy.
Could be
Burgundy.
See,
for this artists that they were.
For this, I'd want to take the Irish out.
Their side, your side, their side. We're on everyone's side.
Exactly. Yeah. So Blood and Crowns, definitely worth having a look at if you like the rest of Firelock Games' pedigree of games and you want to take things in a different direction, and maybe if you've got a whole bunch of medieval miniatures lying around and you haven't found the rule system for you, this one might be worth having a look at. Watch out for that interview, as Jerry says, next week, and it'll get you clued up, but don't worry because there's still 27 days left on the campaign if you're interested in diving in. So
bags of time to have a look at it. It's one of those, when people think of medieval warfare, that's sort of what they think of, clanky knights, even though it was a very short amount of time at the end when they were clanking all over the place. Although, that being said, when the 100 Years' War started 116 years before it ended, they had a very different look to them. So, but it means if you've been interested in that, it's a really solid rule system. Mechanically, the blood and systems have really solid command and control and also resource management because of the activations and fatigue. But it doesn't require a ton of figures. And that's key.
It also feels like you don't need a history. Oh, sorry.
No,
It also feels like you don't actually need like a history degree before you can dive into this period to actually start having fun with it.
well,
That's
it's the same for any historical period.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, but it doesn't feel to have that hurdle to entry that some of the other periods would have.
That's what
116 years of warfare, changes in arms and armament.
Well,
the designer did say that he's tried to make it so that it's quite an inviting system. So it's one of those things where you can just play around with a bunch of stuff, and if you want to take it down the slightly more Hollywood route, you can. But it's there for you to hopefully get invested in historical wargame, which is always nice.
Sweet to the beat. 27 days left, already funded.
Obviously,
so that's always good. And speaking of already funded, but with a slightly shorter amount of time left, Mantic have teamed up with Team 17, who I believe have no relation to East 17. Is that correct?
Maybe they also sing. I don't know.
They are doing a hexagonal wormy board game.
They are. Oh, look, Jerry's back too. So yes, Worms, the board game.
Yes.
If you like the video game, you're gonna want to dive in on this one. I was always more of a Hogs of War fan myself, but I do.
Rick Beale, my heart.
I own Hogs of War board game as well.
You do, yes, So yes, this is a 2 to 4 player game. Although with the Kickstarter pledge, you can take it up to 5 and 6 if you prefer. You're going to be getting a whole host of plastic worms miniatures that can be turned into whichever team you like, because you just click on a little tiny coloured base and away you go. If you want to have an entire team of worms with bats, you can. That's the way to go.
Well,
yes.
It's an interesting thing here. So when you come to set up, you start with the wind counter. And then depending on how many players you've got, you'll put down a specific amount of tiles, either attached to the wind counter or attached to other tiles. So the board grows as the number of players grow. But then the setup is part of the game itself. So you deploy the oil drums, the worms, the mines.
And it's done sort of like in a back and forth.
It's done a back and forth way. Yeah. And then you work out what worms are on your team.
Yes.
So the fact that you're chucking worms down onto the table, onto a particular part of the map, you may not know whether or not that's going to be your worm. So putting somebody right beside an ammo crate, or a supply crate right at the start is a great idea, but your opponent might get it. And then so the worms themselves, it'd be nice to have the ones that you want at the start, but they're using little colored clips on the bases to define who belongs to your team.
I really like that because it mirrors you load into the map and all your worms are in random locations. Yes. It's such a cool little thing to kind of get that across. But
I put mine down next to traps and nothing else.
All the next to the mines. Yeah.
But then you could end up
getting all of them.
Or getting all of the ones who are in really terrible positions and unlucky. So I was just going to say, it's a interesting little game because it uses so many tabletop mechanics to not replicate, but give the feel of the chaotic nature of worms. So you have, for example, the destructive board. As you do damage to the hexes in various ways, you'll put blast craters onto them, and then when you've taken 3 creators on a hex, the hex disappears and you replace it with water. So you just drop water on top, and that's instant kill territory. So you've got the randomness of the deployment. I say randomness of the deployment. You choose where things go.
It's up to you how badly things go.
So it's all down to you.
This is making me fire up an old emulator.
Then the board itself sort of bounces down or destroys as you play, and then you get other bits and pieces that come in, like the weapon drops. So all the worms will start with 4 bits of kit that are specific, or not specific, that are ubiquitous to everyone. So everybody gets an Uzi, everybody gets a bazooka, everybody gets a girder, and everybody gets a little ninja grappling hook. And then you get one random card from the supply drop. So you and your opponents will have those same 4 cards in common. But then after that, you don't know. And the supply drops are a mix of weapons and defensive items like the girders, or occasionally you'll get some of the impressive things like banana bombs, sheep bombs, the holy hand grenade, the fun things.
Hallelujah.
Yes, very much so. Which gives you, I watched a run through where somebody just ran from place to place picking up all the supplies. And they, just because of the way things go, you get different cards that interact in different ways, telling you to place new supply drops, but they're either going into the emptiest hex, and hexes can only hold 3 things, whether that's a worm, a barrel, or a mine, or whatever. It's just a thing. If you're putting on the hex, it's a thing. So you might place a supply drop on the emptiest hex. If you've got a choice, it's up to you. Place it closer to one of your worms, or place it closer to one of your opponent's worms. But then you don't know how they're going to activate, because unlike the turn-based worms computer game where you had 100 health and all 4 activated in every turn, this one, when it comes to your turn, you can activate any of your worms. So you could just activate the same worm over and over and over again because there's no health pool. You're either on the ground, in which case, if you get hit again, you're dead,
just
or
out,
you're upright, in which case you're at full health. And then if you end up in the drink, it's instant kill. So it means you've got this sort of, yes, I've activated them, but then they've been hit by a bomb, and now I've got to decide, do I activate them again to stand up so they don't get instant killed, or somebody in a better position to go and hit somebody upside the head with a baseball bat, or attempt to make that jump over a water hex, because worms are quite bouncy and they may bounce back into the water. And you just don't know how things are going to go.
Oh, good.
So,
it does sound it's very tactically deep then.
I really like what they've done to capture the feel of the sheer carnage of worms.
Sudden death is built into the deck as well. So there is a point where things ramp up and like the water level could rise, or there could be a nuclear bomb about to drop on the table and all that kind of thing. So they've done some really fun stuff with that to kind of bring it
that's because the supply deck, you shuffle the Armageddon-y end of game cards. One of those goes randomly at the bottom, so you don't know what it's going to be. So it could be everybody's on one hit point essentially. So a hit will kill regardless. No more of that, or something unpleasant happens. But they've managed to pull in the idea of the wind as well, being a big part of the mechanics. So sometimes grenades will come back.
Yeah. I threw my grenade. Oh no!
Yeah, and you don't know where things are going to go. There's a certain amount of randomness. But there's also a bit of a skill / dexterity. So you've got the dice for the randomness, and then there's like a flippy type thing for your sort of your dex-based part of it as well. So it kind of mirrors how the game played on the computer, where you were waiting for that bar to bounce back and forward to try and compensate for the wind. And sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. The way they do it is with multiple dice. So if you've got something like a bazooka rolling 4 dice, then you, depending on range, each accuracy die gets removed for each hex away you go. So if you're up close and personal, you might roll 4 dice and then you pick the best one. So you'll be looking for the one that says it's landed dead on. But then the other ones might go, you've got to pick one of the wind affected ones instead, because maybe you're down to 1 or 2 dice and the other one is going to land back on your head. So your choice is kill my own worm or fire off into the drink. These things, there's the danger flipper there for your weak dex bit. So there's a lot of interesting ideas that they've built in mechanically with it to give the feeling of really quick mayhem for a lot of people around the table playing with their worms, which is just absolutely fantastic. I also like the fact that they haven't gone for stretch goals. They're just doing daily reveals, daily unlocks. And at the moment, there's 13 days left on it. So you don't have to go, oh, well, if they made this amount of money, then it would have all these bits and pieces that I really want to see. You can go, well, either I really like the idea of worms, which case I'm backing it now anyway, or you go, well, maybe if there was a bit more in there that I liked, I'd grab it.
Or I'll check back. I'll check back tomorrow, and actually, that's tipped it.
Yeah, because the expansions, I imagine there's already, I think, 48 different worms with a whole variety of weapons and equipment that just look really cute. Even if you're not planning on painting them, they're really nice.
Yeah.
But it's really good seeing, I think the Hadouken was shown off today.
Yes, it was, yeah.
In fact, in the updates.
I like the deluxe playmat.
The deluxe playmat is quite cool, yes.
There's a dice tray, super sheep.
Sheep bomb, eat my sheep.
So good.
Yeah.
And Mantic do such really nice sculpts for their licensed games. Like, I know a lot of people are like ho-hum with some of the sculpts for their mainline games, but their licensed stuff is just awesome. Like, if you've played Hellboy or or any of their other games. So,
but there you can see an idea of
Walking Dead.
the sort of the card mechanic. So tells you what it is: super sheep, ranged, target, max, accuracy 3. So you're going to start with 3 dice. If you go very, very far away, you're going to get less. Collect supply crates in the target hex, blast hex, and add crater to the hex. So bump, bump, bump. But take your shot, and then you have a bonus move. That's a little green. So you can do the worms thing of fire, and then before your timer runs out, run around the corner so somebody can't hit you.
Drop your dynamite and move back. Yeah.
But you've got 2 moves normally anyway. So you can do
so good.
You can do a creeper, you can do a jump, so you can navigate around the board as much as you can.
You need a concrete donkey in there somewhere.
Concrete donkey would be, I imagine it'll be coming. It'll be a lot of fun anyway.
It looks like it's coming in a good dose of different languages as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the idea is to cover as many as possible without having to come back and do reprints in other languages. So the fact that
it's nice,
they've been able to cover a broad spectrum of languages, hopefully we'll get more people to buy into it. There's the Hadouken Dragon Ball with his little Rising Sun bandana on as well. It's absolutely great. Kamikaze!
Fabulous.
I'm absolutely, I'm in like Flynn on this one anyway. I've had so much fun in years past playing it.
Bring it up anytime, Jerry. I will be right there.
So it's just a case of what else is going to be added in there, because I think it should be a great fun setup and play very relatively quickly. And once people get the idea of the mechanics behind it, you're going to be tearing through games incredibly fast. So, 2-player games could be over within a turn if you're particularly unlucky, or lucky, depending on your point of view. Or you can be playing until you hit that Armageddon card at the bottom, and then all of a sudden things go wrong.
I think I saw the Man vs. Meeple playthrough, and at the very beginning of it, he said, normally we just play one round of a game, but this could be over in one round. So
it is.
We'll see how it goes.
See how it kicks off. And the sculpts are all great if you want to stick a bit of paint down on them, and if you don't fancy sticking a bit of paint down on them, they've got the clippy bases anyway, so you're fine with that.
Away you go. Yeah.
Away you go.
I think how much better it looks if you can paint it up in that cell shaded style.
Yeah, I can't imagine I'll be doing that.
Well,
I can't imagine I'll be painting anything, but time will tell what else is going to be unlocked in there. So with another 13 days, I imagine more miniatures and maybe a few other extrapolations for the board as well. There's talk of you can play it with a timer, which is good,
right?
Because I imagine if you're just playing it with a little, the 1 minute or 2 minute egg timers, that'll put the cat amongst the pigeons right there. At which point you might just be going, well, I'd like just you flip it, and then that's it. You've got to do your move, get there, get the stuff.
So many times I was pick the wrong weapon, 10 seconds left, fire it, didn't hold it down long enough.
Yeah, or panicking and just going back a little too far and falling off the edge.
Yeah.
All of this and more. Worms are bouncy, worms are fun. Worms are always good for carnage. So yes, if you fancy playing stuff out like that on the tabletop, then you can do this thing. And I have seen in the past people go, why not just play Worms? My answer to that would be, when was the last time you fired up a PlayStation with friends round the house and passed the controller back and forth playing Worms?
Exactly.
It's probably much more likely that you're able to set up a board game, and rather than if you tell your friends, do you fancy coming around and play Worms on the PS, they're going to look at you like you're like,
no.
Well, if you want to play it, good luck going to like your local GameStop or CEX and finding a copy.
Well, that's true.
No, it's one of these things, isn't it? The future keeps getting away from us. They're up to like 5 PlayStations now. It's mad.
Oh, hang on, are you not seeing they're doing a handheld now?
I'm not. I won't. Don't worry about it. I stopped a long time before that. Anyway, right. That's enough for this show. Like I said, we will return on Sunday with Tommy Soul. So if you fancy joining us over on tabletop.com, you can sign up for a free 30-day trial if you're not already a cultist, and join us to see what he has to say about Toast. Also, don't forget, if you want to win that prize of the Cities of Sigmar, you have to comment on tabletop.com under this video, not on the YouTubes. So don't make that mistake. Until next week, have a great week of gaming. Bye-bye.
Go ahead and check out our other content on screen now. And while you're at it, why not hit subscribe and remember to ding our dong. Go on, you know you want to click it. Go on.